I think we all know this one. The richest 1% of Americans now own nearly as much as the bottom 90%. That's 5 times more than it was 5 decades ago. In just the last year, the 10 richest Americans collectively got $365 billion richer. That means that each of them made an average of $100 million every single day. Now, the average American worker makes about $50,000, so it would take a median wage American worker only about 730,000 years to make an equivalent amount. And now these people are going to get another tax break. So you better believe that American workers are deeply anxious about the future. It's been 17 years now since the Great Recession of 2008, and American workers still haven't recovered, and under capitalism, they never will. Consumer sentiment, it's plunged in recent weeks. It's fallen out to the second lowest level since 1952. And according to the pollsters, the decline was pervasive and unanimous across age, income, education, geographic region, and political affiliation. Millions of Americans, they're out of cash. They've tapped out their credit lines. 59% of Americans don't have enough savings to cover a $1,000 emergency expense. Last year, 30% of Americans used a buy now, pay later service, and 30 million Americans had to hawk their valuables at one of the country's 11,000 pawn shops. 60% of households and 82% of individuals can't afford to buy a car in the country that, you know, is known for cars. I mean, it's part of the American dream, part of the American spirit. Now 82% of individuals can't afford to even buy one. And this is at a time of near record employment. Unemployment is at near record lows. But even if you have a job, pretty much everybody hates their jobs. A recent study found that 81% of 18 to 24-year-olds and 83% of 25 to 34-year-olds are suffering burnout from their jobs. But you know, don't forget, these are the good times, comrades. These are the good times. And the next recession, maybe it started by now, but technically it hasn't officially started yet. And while inflation is the main problem right now, some analysts worry that the economy could slip into a deflationary debt spiral. I mean, none of us can even imagine what's about to come. It's only the beginning. And the capitalist war on American workers' wages, conditions, and quality of life is only going to intensify. Because austerity, unlike anything American workers have ever seen, is the only way that the capitalists can get out of this mess. They're coming after Social Security. They're coming after Medicaid, Medicare, food stamps, housing assistance, and anything else. And all of those cuts, they're going to have a cascading effect throughout the rest of the economy and throughout the rest of the working class. All those jobs and businesses that are supported by that money. And this is the essence of the crisis of the regime. But they have no alternative but to risk the explosion of the class struggle through these attacks. Now, we talked about the dollar a little bit already, but I want to go just a little bit deeper. So if the dollar is strong in relation to other currencies, it means that the U.S. can buy more goods denominated in other currencies. It also makes U.S. debt more attractive, right? Because you get more for the U.S. But a strong dollar makes your goods more expensive for other countries to buy. So a strong dollar is good for imports, but it's bad for exports. So Trump wants a weak dollar on the one hand to help export more, and a strong dollar to help with imports. But this is one of those cases where it's not a unity and interpenetration of opposites. You just cannot have both of these things at the same time. And the value of the dollar as a general currency, it also affects wages and purchasing power. Capitalism, it's a global system, obviously, and therefore competition over wages is also global. As it happens, rates for manufacturing labor in India are currently 3% the rate in the United States. So instead of paying an American worker $100 to do a particular job, the capitalists only have to pay an Indian worker $3. In China, it's 20%, so they have to pay $20 instead of $100 to an American. And to make the dollar truly competitive and to really retrench and really rebuild industry and everything, some economists calculate that the dollar would have to be devalued by 90%. In other words, instead of paying $100 for an American worker to produce something, they would pay them just $10. That's the direction this is going, comrades. Wage stagnation, yeah, that sucks. Creeping inflation, that sucks. Gradually losing your social services, that sucks. People will grumble, they'll complain, but they'll put up with it for longer than you might think. But cutting your effective wages by 90%, do you think the American working class is just going to roll over and take these kinds of attacks indefinitely? Well, the bitter truth, this is the truth. This is what's coming. A tsunami of layoffs, of home foreclosures, of defaults on car payments, on credit cards, on student loans. It's all in the pipeline. And this is not what people had in mind when Trump promised them a new golden age. They've adopted a wait-and-see approach for one president after another, but they've already seen a lot, and they're not going to wait forever. For decades, I'm sure you talked to your parents. They played by the rules. They did it the way they were supposed to. They got this education. They took out the debt. They bought the house, blah, blah, blah. But we've gotten nothing in return. And eventually, as they did in the summer of 2020 after the murder of George Floyd, they will move to seize their destiny in their hands.